Doc Rampaggio here, DKTV with Mike Zolotrow.
It's ZoloWorld.com, UnderworldFigures.com, Realm of the Underworld.
Realm of the Underworld. And today we're looking at the Flexzor's 3.0 prototype figure. Mike, talk about the Flexzor.
Sure. Okay, so basically, I was talking to you a little bit about this. I wanted to make sure that we got these right. This has been like a 2.5-year project. So, that I mean, just...
Making bendies is tough.
It really is. I mean, just going back and forth to China. Now, when we're talking about prototypes, this is actually from steel. This is not like a wax mold or something like that they're basically pumping out of the factory and saying, here, check out this, this is a legit, from tooling. But see, the problem is, though, is the material that they inject it with. We want to make sure it's correct. And
durable and holds up over time.
Right.
All that stuff, you know?
And I think the first time you were down here and you actually looked at these...
The original prototype.
Yeah, the original prototype. You could tell, like, it was really hard. It was very, very hard. It wasn't the way we wanted it. Mm-hmm. I like to make it more softer. Wanted to make sure, like, it was... The metal inside was working the right way and it's not going to break. So there was some issues that we had with the first version. Then we came out with the second version, and that actually was very hard to move. Mm-hmm. And I think I might have shown you that. You've seen that. You saw it at ZoloCon.
I did see that at ZoloCon.
And it was very, very tough to move. And
that one's not here?
It is not here.
That one is not here.
Yeah, that one actually got sent off... back to the factory for some of the paint applications that we're going to actually put on this. But again, the big problem with the material was that when you would bend it, I actually saw it was starting to crack. And I was thinking, like, wait a minute. We had the softness, okay, because everybody saw it at New York Comic Con, and they were saying that one of these coming, they want to buy them. And I just said, we want to, here's the thing is, and Jesse, you could even say that, and you probably could even vouch for this, is like, when a lot of the stuff that we're doing, we want to make sure it's perfected. We won't churn out a product if it's not a perfect product.
You don't want to release garbage,
Well, that's it's true. But the problem is that a lot of times when you're under some sort of constraints and you make promises, and you want to bring these things out, a lot of times people like sacrifice that timing issue, and they'll say, "Oh, well, all these people want to see this," and then you pump it out, and what you get is a subpar product. And one thing that I've always told people, and they get very upset at me when they say it, like, when is Wave 3 and when is it? I just don't want to put out a subpar product, and that's the reason why these have not been released yet. These are going to have like variant heads. All the heads are interchangeable. Okay, so
with all the Zoloverse stuff, Prince Algor heads, any of the Wave 1, 2, slime drones, all of that.
Yep.
Warrior beasts.
Yep, Warrior Beast also. And it's an all-encompassing line. So you're going to have Legends of Darkness, which we've talked about for a while. And
which is actually the head that's on this now, right?
Yes, yep, that's the head that's on this here. This is a character from there. And actually, to tell you the truth, too, a lot of things that you're going to notice is some heads will be exclusive to Flexzors. Some head will be exclusive to, obviously, Road 2, and some heads will be exclusive to Warrior Beast. Oh, go ahead.
You can pop them all off and swap them,
right?
Regardless of that.
So that gives you that opportunity to swap in between all the lines. But there's a few other lines we're working on too, and it's things that I'm just trying to like finalize before we go ahead and do it. I mean, you could probably see the one on the Warrior Beast card. We have Pirates of the Galaxies we're also doing as well, so I didn't want to leave that out. But the idea behind all of this is not to regurgitate all the original stuff, because that's not what I want to do. I want to evolve the original stuff into the Zoloverse, and so people can see the new item. Getting back to the Flexzor, we wanted to model this off of the early bendy barbarian bendies, and I think that in itself is really cool. There's a lot of lines out there that they actually did. It wasn't just the small action figures. They actually made figures almost in the scale, but it was always lacking something. It was always something that, it had a fun factor to it, but there was not enough to be like, oh, I'm going to pick this up and I want to really play with this. And I mean, every time I have this thing out, people are like always moving it around and wanting to check it out. It literally flexes. You can actually see the beef of the muscle from when you're flexing it. So that's really cool, man.
Yeah, I think actually now would be a good time to get a little bit of hands-on time focus on this.
Absolutely, man. Yeah.
So let's do it. So this is the hands-on with the Flexzor 3.0 prototype. As said, it is a prototype, so it's still soft, and it's also about got to be close to 100 degrees in here right now.
Yeah, it's really
It's
hot.
hot
Yeah,
summertime. It's very squishy right now. But yeah, the musculature is phenomenal on this, dude. This is like the first time I saw the original prototype. I was really impressed with like the really like cool poses you can get this guy into.
Well, I like the fact that you can actually flex them and like actually make a muscle with a figure. Like you can actually see the side of that.
Oh yeah.
My goodness gracious!
You can even get him like kissing the shit, you know.
So yeah, there's a lot to it. I mean, like I said before, there's going to be accessories with the figures. There's also going to be armors with them as well to really make them a lot more. It's going to have a real cool fun factor to it.
I think this thing's wild. I really like the whole feel of it. It's nice and chunky, which is something I always don't like about a lot of bendies. They're like super thin, you know. But this thing is nice and chunky.
And the feel, I want to get that soft feel. Unfortunately, you know, like that's the thing. I mean, I know it's sacrificing a few things to do it because if it is really hot, I think people will have a hard time posing them. And I'll be honest with it. But I think on the other end of it too is when you feel this in hand, you're gonna want it as part of your collection. I don't think that there's a question about it. How awesome these actually are.
I mean, there's going to be paint involved and stuff too. There's a whole lot of factors.
Right, and there's a possibility of that hardening it up a lot more and stuff like that too. But we really want to keep it as soft as it is because that's where the fun factor is at, and it makes it really like, I don't know, it's more unique. You know what I mean than your average bendy, which is real. You know, like you might see harder, you know, whatever bendies that you have out there, and so that would be one of the things there. But getting back to the armors and the weapons and stuff, I want to really make it in such a way where there's obviously there's going to be variant colors that you're not going to get anywhere else but the Flexzors. The armors and accessories to be the same exact way with that, and with the monsters and all too. You can do other poses too besides standing them.
They can ride.
Yeah,
mounts.
You could pose them any old way you want. I mean,
They can climb walls.
A ton of different things
they
you can
get
do.
down, like real down.
That's great.
But yeah, I think this body is the muscle definition is very cool.
Yeah, we wanted to accentuate a musculature that's going to be different than a lot of the figures that are out there, but also be like a lot of figures from the past. You know what I mean? So we have elements of a lot of things. People might say, "Oh, that looks like yada yada," or "This looks like that," but it is honestly, it is a different sculpt. It's to look like it, but it is definitely not it. And when you see it and you have it in hand again, that's when people are going to realize exactly what they're holding, and they're just going to say, "Wow, this is cool." And there's a combination of different things that's going to make these like more unique when you see them. I want to add fur goods. I want to add applications on here where it's actually pelted.
You gotta keep it down.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I actually wanted to pelt this in such a way where it'll have hair on these. Like there's going to be some of them that's going to have like an actual pelt. Some that's going to actually be glued on. It's going to have like hair that's glued onto it, which is another monster character, which we'll be talking about in the future. I'm not at liberty to say right now just because we're working on it. Just to do that. So, but yeah. So let's put this down here like this, and you can see
shield on him.
You could see like the shield, and then like the weapons, and just seeing like how everything kind of works. It's the angle in which this is here. You want to basically you can move them around and do whatever to make it like But there's a ton of different things that we want to basically do with these to make them like.
See, I always envisioned these would be really good for like Row 2 like battle scenes. Like you have like your Acromancer up here attacking him and he's down like poses you can't get the Row 2 guys into.
Pretty much you won't be getting a lot of figures into those poses just because it takes a bendy to actually get the you could make your own monster like poses too where you're crawling or whatever the case is, but you're able to do so many different things with them, and also too it's part of the series, it's part of the Zoloverse, which makes it you have that interchangeability factor in between this, unlike pretty much anything right now. I think, that would feature that.
All right, so when do you expect the Flexzor to be coming out?
Well, we want to perfect it, and I think I've said that, a number of times. So we're looking, hopefully, at either the ending of this year or like into next year. Like I said, the tooling's already done on this.
Yep.
So I don't think there's going to be a question of, once it's ready, we're just going to spin them. We want to do it like as soon as they're ready to rock, and we approve this, the actual the material and everything that's going to be used. I like this one, and I'm thinking we're leaning towards going with this. We're just going to do like maybe a little minor tweaks, and then we're gonna release these guys. And also, the artist is actually going to be Scott West, the same guy that did the Escape from the Underworld poster. So it is a awesome sci-fi fantasy barbarian style card that is just going to rock. Like, people are going to love it. I think it's going to be, I always look at packaging as like, at least 60%, 50 to 60% of the figure.
Packaging and story are like
the
two top things,
Well, absolutely. Yeah. For us, the stories are number one.
Stories always number one for me.
Always number one, because like the characters and the development of those characters make what a series is. You just couldn't come out with something generic and it's be like, oh, well, this is this. You know what I mean? Or, and try to do something. That's what we're doing also. With the Flexzors, there is a story behind them. There's characters behind them that's going to make what each thing. So what I mean is all encompassing is these lines have these characters, these iconic Zolocon characters that we want to come out like sort of like the Acromancers now. Mainstream people know that character if they see it. And we want to do that with our Legends of Darkness line. We want to do it with our, obviously the Warrior Beast is kind of done. So we want to just evolve that. And
excellent, man. Well, again, I'm Doc Rampaggio. This is DKTV. Mike Zolotrow.
Soloworld.com, underworldfigures.com. You can check out Realm of the Underworld through there, and so you get the chance to see the upcoming Flexzors as well.
DKTV.